You have no idea what happened that night. My wife and I were visiting friends. Everything was normal. Laughter, conversation, a delicious dinner. But when everyone went to their bedrooms and the house fell silent, something unexpected happened. I was almost falling asleep when suddenly the door creaked softly, and she came in. Not my wife, the same woman, the hostess of the house, with whom we had exchanged only polite smiles all evening. What was it? A moment of weakness? A test of strength? Or something more? That forbidden fruit that people whisper about in the dark, but never say a word out loud? You probably think you know how it all ended. But this story is not about cheating. It is about what really happens between a man and a woman when no one is watching. About those invisible threads that connect us much more strongly than it seems. And about one simple question: why do such moments happen even in the strongest couples? That night, I realized something important. My wife was sleeping next door, just a few meters away, and a whole life built together. And then there was a look that read something that was not being said, and a choice to take a step or to stay. Do you know what the strangest thing is? At that moment, I was not thinking about the consequences or morality. My brain switched off. Something ancient, something animal worked. The same thing that makes a man hold his gaze for a second at a stranger on the subway. Something that we carefully hide. But it is always there, under a thin layer of civilization. Here's an example from life. One of my friends, let's call him Alexei, told me, "My wife and I have been together for 10 years. Love, children, a common business. But when at a corporate party, her colleague accidentally touched me with her hand, all the blood rushed to my head, as if I had been struck by electricity. A familiar feeling? This is not about betrayal. This is about nature, which does not ask our opinion. Philosophers have been arguing for millennia. What is loyalty? A contract? A habit? Or a fight with yourself? Psychologists will tell you about dopamine, the very hormone that makes the new so attractive. An old Buddhist wisdom whispered, temptation does not come to those who do not call it. But who among us has not whispered it in the dark at least once in our lives? Let's go back to that night. What did I do? I stood up. I whispered, "Sorry, you can't do that." And I went out onto the porch to smoke. Although I haven't smoked for 5 years, the smoke filled my lungs and my head was spinning. Why did I refuse? Because of fear? Principles? Or because somewhere out there behind the wall, the woman for whom I was once ready to move mountains was sleeping? Do you know what the paradox is? We often think that the main thing in a relationship is passion. But the real test comes just when passion calls you in another direction. That night, I didn't become a hero. I just remember one moment. How 3 years ago my wife sat by my hospital bed and didn't leave my side for a second, although they had more important things to do. In the morning, the lady of the house brought me coffee. Our eyes met for a second and understood everything without words. My wife was telling me something cheerfully at breakfast, and I suddenly realized the sexiest thing in our relationship is not what happens in the bedroom. It's that after so many years, she can still tell stories in a way that makes me interested in listening. When we were driving back, my wife suddenly took my hand and said, "Thank you for being there." She didn't know anything. Or did she? Women's intuition is a mysterious thing. But at that moment I realized a real relationship is when after all the storms and temptations you still return to one harbor. Not because you have to, but because you can't imagine yourself anywhere else. And that night, anything could have happened. But the most important thing happened. I made a choice. Not out of fear.